says it's already going. Let me try pulling this up on the side. Hold on. Let me see how it. Oh, I mean, yeah, it's there. Okay, yeah, it looks different. But I kind of like it. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Sideline. My name is Rishi Oza,
My name's Asher Hire.
and it looks a little different. We're using a different streaming thing. We're trying something out. Also, this was we can see how many viewers we have. Oh, solid one. Look at that. That'll be one
Let's
of us.
go.
But let's go. But yeah, so we're
New
using a different thing right
stream.
now.
Sure.
Um, just to get it going, just to figure it out. So hopefully this will be able allow us to like show stats, be a little more interactive with how we do the videos, have a background, have different stuff going on, rather than just Zoom, which was really basic, and also cuts us off at 40 minutes, and we talk a lot. So we're just gonna run down with a couple things in this one. We're gonna talk about the Broncos, their last 2 weeks, hardest 2 games of their schedule, and then we're gonna talk about the Nuggets. They are won 5 in a row. They're going streaking, and we're gonna talk about them and see how what they can do to improve what we'll notice so far after 10 games. And yeah, let's get right into it. Let's start with the Broncos. I mean, both these teams played on Sunday, but I feel like the Broncos, I think there's more to discuss with them
Yeah.
because
Yeah. It
they're deeper
happened
into the
before the
season.
Nuggets
And
game too.
yeah, it did happen before the Nuggets game. Um, and yeah, it was a heartbreaker loss against Kansas City, to say the least. I was so excited that pass to Cortland Sutton was perfect. That should have been Bo Nix's signature moment from his rookie season, and instead it's just painful. But regardless, Denver is still the 7th seed right now in the NFL or in the AFC, still in a playoff spot, and still 5-5. So it's not the world. At the very least, that is by far the closest they have gotten to winning in Kansas City in what 7 years, 8 years, literally since they last won. It has been a long time since it's been this close, since they've won a game in Kansas City, and it's very encouraging for a young team. The rookie quarterback being able to do that, very encouraging. But regardless, the last 2 weeks, because that first game against Baltimore was really bad. That game was very concerning, honestly. And then this game against Kansas City, very encouraging. So, Asher, what did you notice from the last 2 weeks? Now they're going in. It's not an easy game against Atlanta. It's still a good team, but um, the lesser of all the three tough games that they're going to play. What have you noticed going into that?
Yeah. Well, I think the team that we saw this Sunday against the Chiefs is the team that's going to continue, you know, going forward. I don't think we're going to see the version that we saw against the Ravens. I thought that matchup going into it was extremely difficult for a Broncos team that plays a lot of man coverage. Obviously, the quarterback run against man coverage is a huge weakness in the defense to exploit when you got Lamar Jackson. That's a big thing. So the Broncos, sold out on stopping Lamar running. Um, and that just left dudes when you have guys like Zay Flowers and Andrews and Rashad Bateman, that can really create separation against man coverage. It's going to be a tough day. So I honestly think that the Ravens, teams like the Ravens, the Bills, I feel like would be a difficult matchup for the Broncos. Bengals, maybe teams like that I think have a lot of good weapons that can get open, and then also have the threat of the quarterback run. I guess Bengals are not that, but still, you know I don't I think that was just a bad matchup game for Denver, and we saw what they really are in this Chiefs game. They're a team that's tough. I mean, they did everything they could to win this game, man. Obviously, they outplayed the Chiefs. Um, I thought. I mean, Bo Nix, I thought looked better than Mahomes. The Chiefs couldn't run the ball at all. Uh, their one big play on offense was to a wide open DeAndre Hopkins. That touchdown drive. everybody knows, the deal with that
Just shouldn't have
shouldn't have
happened.
happened. But then, you also look at Mahomes. Yeah, he missed Worthy wide open for a touchdown, and he missed Kelsey wide open for a touchdown. Um, Still, it's tough, but ultimately, that's what the Chiefs do, man. I mean, it's tough. Like just thinking about it, you look at all these games, and it's like, dude, they could be under 500 right now. Like in a lot of these games, they're losing in the second half, and the other team has like a 70-some% chance to win. And then by some miracle, whether it's Isaiah Likely having his pinky toe fingernail out of bounds, or the Bengals blowing that lead in the very next week, and then going to OT against the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers don't get a chance on offense. Raiders game was, I mean, all these games were close. But this is what the Chiefs do, man. They played like shit last season and they won the Super Bowl. And they're playing bad again this season, but they just manage. They know how to win, man. They have that mastered. It's the
Yeah.
belief. It's the belief in all the coaching. I think like Andy Reid, Spagnuolo, the special teams coordinator is good, obviously. So
Yeah.
I think there's a ton of belief in the coordinators. Obviously, there's belief in their quarterback, even though his play hasn't been inspiring this year. Obviously you trust him to win games, so I mean, whatever. I guess there's just some belief. Good coaching,
Yeah.
obviously too with the field goal block. I mean, that whole play just I don't I want you to talk about the game too, but that whole play
Yeah.
just it's just obvious, like should never have happened, and it just boggles my mind. Like I've been thinking, all of Denver has been thinking about that. How do you have Alex Forsyth, who, all these clips coming out now of like every kick, it's every game, and at least one of the kicks in every game, he falls down. He just falls on his ass, and I'm like, if this happens so often, and they're not changing anything, are they teaching him to do that? Like maybe it kind of trips the defender in front of him. Maybe I don't know. Are they teaching him to do that? But then you look at everybody else on the O line on field goal attempts, and none of them fall. Um, so I just think it's something that for some reason the Broncos staff either missed or they were fine with Forsyth being out there. But Chiefs saw a weakness in that line, and they put a guy there and a guy behind the guy rushing at Forsyth. So one of them knocked down Forsyth, the other guy came through and blocked the kick. And that's it. I've never
Yeah.
seen a 35-yarder in my life in the NFL be blocked. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Especially that bad. Like, because if
Oh my,
Leo Chanel
yeah,
doesn't get it, like George Karlaftis is getting it. If he doesn't get it, Justin Reed is getting it. There's literally like four
yeah.
different guys on that play who could have made contact with the ball. It was ridiculously bad. You're right. Like, I don't understand how the Broncos coaches did not notice Alex Forsyth, because you've said it. All these clips have come out on Twitter over the last 48 hours of Alex Forsyth
Well,
literally being on his butt the
and
entire time on the kicking unit.
the thing is, this is what makes my mind the Broncos have the two best like special teams coaches of all time. I don't get it. You have Mike Westhoff, who literally has a whole book, like he created everything basically on what teams do in special teams, and then you got Sean Payton, who's been known for special teams forever, and that happens. And special teams has been so good the entire year. Like
Yeah.
I would take this special teams unit, over anybody. Honestly, with Mims returning, and you got Traymon Smith making plays on as a gunner, and Will Lutz has barely missed, um, and the punter's been okay. But man, I mean, this was something that was bound to happen. If it didn't happen in this game, playoff teams would notice it. That is for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I saw
it's bound to happen.
Yeah, it was bound to happen. I saw Pat McAfee do a little breakdown of it on his show. And he's a special teams guy. He's a punter. He knows everything about it. And he was saying, like, yeah, this ball's on the right hash. So obviously the physics mean you have to kick the ball left to go to the uprights. Who's on the left side? It's Alex Forsyth. Like, this was a coaching thing. The Chiefs clearly understood that there was a weakness on Denver's kicking unit. They knew it was Alex Forsyth. They knew that they were going to put most of their guys on that side, and they knew that it was going to result in them at least having a chance to block it. And I'm sure they didn't do it that much um, earlier in the game on the 2 extra points that Denver did, because they were like, "Listen, if we have to pull it out at some point, we can."
Yeah. And the thing
And
is, he
yeah, I
fell
mean, it
down
doesn't,
on
like
it
you said,
on like every kick. It was every kick he
it's
fell.
ridiculous, and I really don't understand. Like you said, Denver has 2 of the best special teams coaches ever. How this fell through the cracks for them, it does not make any sense. There's no way they're just complacent with that happening. So either like it's a ridiculous mistake on the coaching side of things for him even being out there on the field this much.
And
So
also, what
I
I
that
don't
was
get,
just
I mean, just from like the player, like he was good at center. He wasn't getting
yeah
knocked on his ass at center, and then all of a sudden, like every kick, he just gets shoved down. Like the guy's an NFL lineman, and you're getting shoved down like a little kid. Like, come on, bro. I don't understand it.
yeah like it when you're on those, like it's bound to happen a few times where you get like bull rushed by 5 guys and you just lose your balance and you fall down. But the consistency that it happened with every, like you look back, it's almost every single field goal this season that Will lets us kick. Alex Forsyth is on his butt, and I really have. It truly makes zero sense. Like it legitimately makes zero sense how that's possible. So, I mean that, you know, I guess is the play that lost Denver the game, but they had a lot of opportunities to win this. Like you said, Kansas City, yeah, the penalty on that touchdown drive did suck, but Mahomes literally missed 2 wide
Two.
open touchdowns
Yeah.
before that anyway, or after that, whenever the penalty happened. Um, and yeah, Denver's offense was good in the first half, but they literally did not score a point. They weren't even close to scoring a point until that final drive. It was a masterful final drive, but they didn't. They literally weren't even close to scoring until that point. I think they only had like 2 or 3 drives total in the second half. Kansas City completely dominated the
Yeah,
time of
dude.
possession in the
That's
second
the
half.
thing.
It
I don't
was
even like remember the other drives, bro.
yeah,
It's just
like
like,
it was bad. It was really, really bad. And yeah, like that, like you said, but this Kansas City team, they just know how to win.
yeah,
Everybody knows what to do. They know what to do in situations. They never get nervous, they never back down, and they know what, like I said, they just know what they're doing. It just happens. Like a lot of people were saying earlier, it's like even the Patriots weren't this bad with the luck and everything. But it's like when you're a good team, when you're an elite team, like um like Kansas City is, when you're an elite team like those Patriots teams were, luck just goes your way. It always happens, right? When you're a good team, you win the games you're supposed to lose. Like it always happens. It's been that way forever because you know what to
yeah.
do and the other team doesn't. So I think, later on in the season, once they start, I think if they listen, if they keep playing this way in the playoffs, they're going to lose. Like they have to play better on offense
I know.
to
Well,
win
I think they're gonna
because
lose next week.
they're what, Carolina, right?
No, it's at Buffalo.
Oh, Buffalo. Oh, okay. Carolina's that might be later.
Yeah, it's later.
But yeah, at Buffalo, that's a game that they most definitely could lose, like very, very easily, because Buffalo is a team that is not going to score 0 points in the second half. They know how to play offense at least, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to believe how consistent they've been over the last 8 years with Andy Reid, but it's just who they
Dude,
are.
that's
But I will say, like, this is a belief building loss. I would say, like you can take a lot from this loss. My biggest takeaway is like, Bo Nix he's ready for it. Like you get some weapons around him,
yeah.
and they're going to win. That drop by Cortland Sutton at the end of the first half is huge. He had a really good game, but that drop is massive. Him doing that means that field goal, instead of being like a 45-yarder, is a 60-yarder. So, and it missed by a yard. Like it was short by a yard. If there's a 45-yarder, it's clean. So, but you just get weapons around him. You can, and I believe I think this team is a playoff team this year, especially with how they play. But I think next year with Bo Nix that they can legitimately make a jump.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this is kind of like a Steelers type of year. 9-7, pain in the ass, losing the first round of the playoffs by like a decent
Yeah.
amount. And
Yeah.
that's but and then but yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, Bo Nix is the quarterback of the future, and once you put guys around him like Joe Burrow and the Bengals, you know, um, this is the time, man. John Elway did it with Drew Lock. Let's do it for Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Hopefully not whiff on two receivers in the first two rounds. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, the team's very close. It's a young defense that I think will
Yeah.
be just as good next year. And then yeah, obviously the offense will be better next year. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for the Broncos. They're very. I mean, obviously it's the most uh, best I've felt about their future, since like 2012. So,
Oh yeah.
um,
No, legitimately.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm like
it is what it
this
is. It's
game.
just so. I mean, it's just man, we're gonna
Yeah.
like. Wait, what was?
Oh, I'm here. Hello. Oh, hello.
Uh,
Oh,
I
can you hear
didn't.
me?
Can you hear
We
me?
good? Yeah.
All right, yeah, I can hear you. Um,
Okay. There we go.
all right.
Keep going.
I think it is my Wi-Fi, but um, damn, what was I saying?
It's just something about this game. Like it's painful. Something like
Oh
that.
yeah, because we're just gonna have to wait. Like Bo Nix is gonna have his like coming out moment, and this week could have been it, dude. You go on the road against your division rival, the 8-0 Kansas City Chiefs, and you win with a rookie quarterback and like no weapons except for Cortland Sutton. And you make that huge play on 3rd and 6. I mean, everybody would have seen that play if the field goal would have gone in. And it just would have put him on the spotlight like Jaden Daniels is right now. Bo Nix would have like taken that shine. And it sucks that we gotta wait. But it's gonna happen. It will happen one of these
Yeah.
days. Everything will go right. I'm hoping
Yeah.
everything will go right one of these days. But I'm looking at the schedule. I mean, maybe it's the last game of the year against Kansas City at home. Um, win, you make the playoffs. Lose, you're out. It could definitely be that. And
It
so,
looks like it's going that way. I mean, this
but
they
the thing is, the Chiefs are gonna sit everybody. I just realized this. So, maybe it's the game at the Bengals.
yeah, that game. Oh, it's at Cincy. Oh,
Yeah,
I thought it was at home. Okay,
yeah.
at Cincy makes that way harder. But home against Atlanta is a very winnable game. They can take that one.
They can
Um,
win the next 4, I think.
they can easily go 4-0 because what it's Atlanta, Vegas, um,
Cleveland,
Cleveland, and then
Colts.
Cincy or Colts. Yeah, and then you look at Cincy and Indianapolis. Those are the two teams that you have to beat. Or Cincy and Indianapolis are the two teams that you have to beat
You're right.
um, to get into the playoffs. Like that's it. Those you win those two games, and you can kind of muddy your way through the rest of the season. You can win, a game here or there, right? But you win those two games, and you are in the playoffs. And the Chargers game, you have to win the Chargers game, which is turning out to be a lot harder than I thought it would be coming into the year because they do look like they're a legit team.
Yeah.
Um, but so I think it is it is possible, and I think you were saying maybe it's like a Pittsburgh Steelers year. You go 9-7, and then get killed in the first round. It could be like the Eagles in 2021. And Jalen Hurts' first year as a full time starter, and they go 9-7. They make the playoffs against Tampa, and then they get killed in the first round. But the next year they come back. They get AJ Brown in a trade with
X.
Tennessee, and they come back and they're a juggernaut and they make the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that's going to happen for Denver, but it is possible that you make you make the playoffs with this young quarterback. You make the playoffs with this roster built off of a defense and a run game, and then you get into the playoffs and you can just see what happens. You see what worked that season, and then you make adjustments after that. And I think if Denver can make the playoffs, that is a trajectory that they could keep their eyes on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
we'll
was
we'll
listening
see.
to this on the radio. They had a good type of question, I feel like. It's just it was like, when do you know you're out of a rebuild? Is it like right now? Do the Broncos feel like they're out of a rebuild, or does it take like two playoff appearances? Because you can have like a fluke playoff appearance and then just
Yeah,
be bad the next year. It's like, when do you know you're out of rebuild mode? I would say maybe if you win a playoff game.
I think it's if you win, because like I think look at Detroit, right? Like they were really bad in 22 or really bad in 21, and then 22 they're bad, and then they get really good at the end of the season, and you kind of have some hope. And then last year they're good, but you didn't really believe it until they won a playoff game. And obviously this year they're very good. So I think you're right. I think once you win a playoff game, because it's the same thing with Green Bay, right? Like I thought last year was a fluke playoff run for them,
Yeah.
but then they go into Dallas and destroy the Cowboys in week
Right,
one,
right.
and then they give San Francisco a legit fight in the divisional round. So now you know I'm thinking they're out of that rebuild. I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't even a rebuild; it was like a 1 year.
I
Wasn't that was a? They didn't even. It wasn't even a rebuild, bro. They God, that franchise is so annoying. I have nothing
I
against
know.
them, but it's like, come on, you go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and then you think you're gonna have 1 year of mediocrity, and then nope, Jordan Love
Right.
turns
No.
into Jesus Christ for the last 8 weeks of the season, and you make the playoffs. So I don't know, but I think once you win a playoff game, I think
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a good barometer. Um, so we'll see. Yeah, I'm not expecting Denver to win a playoff game this year. Honestly, I'm not. I don't think this roster is capable of doing that because, like, they can keep games close, but they don't have the talent to win a lot of these close
Yeah,
games.
exactly.
And we're seeing it. I mean, the close games that they have played, they've lost every single one of them. Like the Seahawks game, close game, they lost. Steelers game, close game, they lost. Chargers game, close game, they lost. Chiefs game, close game, they lost. The only one that wasn't close was Baltimore. But even then, that was a close. It should have been a close game. You're down
Yeah.
17-10 going into half, and then you let up a touchdown on the drive. Going into halftime, you let a touchdown on the drive coming out of halftime, and then all of a sudden you're down 3 possessions. So
They won the
it,
Jets game, but that was like that took a
oh
missed field goal to win. But yeah.
yeah, it took a missed field goal, and I also just think the Jets suck. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I
that's
mean, it's the
I
Jets.
like it was a good win at the time, but looking back on it, maybe it wasn't. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know. I mean,
Maybe it
I
wasn't.
still think it was good. They still had Sala, and like early in the
Yeah, yeah,
season they're definitely playing with more I mean, a little more enthusiasm than they are now.
yeah, yeah. But
Um
we'll see. I'm really looking forward to this Atlanta game. I think this could be the coming out party for the team. I think if you win this game after last week, right? It's such a devastating loss,
yeah.
especially like it was such a deflating loss against Baltimore, and then like a heartbreaking loss against Kansas City. You come back and you win in like a convincing fashion against Atlanta. That shows that the team is for real. Then I might have some belief that they win a playoff game. But if they just win because they're at home and it's like a 20-13 game or something, then I don't know. But if you put up like 30 points and you start really getting going, the offense really getting going, then we'll see. Um, but yeah, I'm excited. I can sense that there's a direction for the team uh, right now, and I truly that is the first time I felt that in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Like
Good.
when they were 5-3 after the Saints game or the Panthers game, you could sense obviously there was a direction, there's momentum, but I mean they were legitimately just beating up on bad teams and injured teams.
Yeah.
But now, like you could tell that they have something at least in there, that there's some potential with the current roster. But once they start upgrading it, which I guarantee that they will be able to, um, I think it'll be, I think they'll be fine.
Dude, I wonder who it's gonna be, man. There's someone out there right now that's gonna be like the Broncos like star receiver for the next however many years with Bo Nix, like the number one guy with Bo Nix. There's
Yeah,
somebody out there, man. Jeremiah Smith, nah, but Jeremiah Smith still has like 3 years. That's the
he has
thing.
a lot. He's got a lot left. He's got a lot left. Ryan Williams has a lot left.
Like, who's gonna be the Michael Thomas? Who's gonna be the Alvin Kamara? Sean Payton's bound to find. I'm convinced he's bound to find one of those guys, right? We can't just
Yeah,
be this bad. So,
yeah. Hey, maybe Marvin Mims is Alvin Kamara. They use him out of the backfield a lot, and I
yeah,
liked it. I really did. It
I
allows
know. I
him.
mean, he had what was this? He averaged like 6 yards a carry.
Yeah, I mean he's like I liked it. It gets your most dynamic playmaker the ball, it gets him in space, gets him going downhill quickly, switches it up. Javonte Williams had one carry in the entire game. Audric Estime
Yeah.
got everything down the stretch, and played well. He played
Yeah, he was
really
clutch.
good. Like I'm, you can sense that they're starting to go in different ways. Devon Vele got a ton. Vele, I don't know how you say his name. I hear it a
Yeah.
bunch of different things. I think it's Vele. I don't know. Vele, Devon Vele got a lot of. Obviously, had the touchdown, but he's Tim Patrick. I mean, he's literally just Tim Patrick. So he needs to get more. You could tell they didn't give Little Jordan Humphrey as many chances and opportunities up the middle. All of his stuff was screen stuff, short passes. They adjusted very heavily to what we saw last week against Carolina. So I like it. As long as the offense doesn't turn the ball over, this team is legit. Like they can be good. The second any sort of negative play happens, it just ruins the entire flow. And it's been like that for the last I don't even know how many years. But as long as they don't turn the ball over, I think they keep themselves in games, and you're just giving yourself a chance for something to happen. Yeah, sometimes stuff like Kansas City happens where you do everything right and you still lose because of a block kick. But sometimes the Jets game happens where you try and give the game away 6 times, but because it's close, you still find a way to win it. So it happens. It happens. It's a young team, like you said. But yeah, I'm excited. Nick Bonito has been incredible. He's another guy who deserves his flowers. He had an unbelievable game. Um, Jonathan Cooper had a good game. Zach Allen had a good game. The linebackers had a phenomenal game. Not letting anything get past them, either through the air or on the run. The run game was really good. Travis Kelce had a good game. I think it shows you how good Justin Simmons was at guarding him one on one because he
Yeah.
literally he would take Travis Kelce out of games completely. Brandon Jones still not completely on that level, man to man wise, but uh, yeah, it's still it's a good team. It's good. There's a direction, and I'm liking it. There's momentum.
Yep, exactly. And there's clear like holes to fix. Like, the
Yeah,
previous years it's like, oh, we need a receiver, but we also need an O lineman, then we also need a defensive lineman, and damn, we're thin at corner. But now it's just like receivers, just skill position players. And that's hype to
yeah.
think about, but
It's just like
that is
speed all
truly
around.
the one need. Yeah, yeah.
It's just speed all around. Because I do think, like you said, teams like Baltimore, teams like Buffalo, teams like Cincy are going to be issues for Denver going forward because of their speed. I think Denver's corners are good, but they're not exactly the
But
fastest.
yeah, but I just think
So
that's more like it's more scheme than like players. I feel like
yeah, that is true.
um
That is true.
I just feel like the Ravens are just a bad matchup um with the way the Broncos play defense. Like if they were more of a zone team, then yeah, like what you're saying right now, I feel like would make sense and would be easier to like to hammer down. But with them just being a
That's true.
man-to-man team, it's just like the quarterback run is so hard against that. And then once you put two spies on the quarterback run and it's just man coverage against Zay Flowers, who's just quick. I think it's like the quick, twitchy guys who just know how to
Yeah.
get separation against anybody. Against man-to-man coverage is who they struggle with. It's like um I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to like Hopkins didn't have a big game at all, and he's not quick.
No.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
I mean,
trying to
no
think
one
of
has
the
really had
receivers
a good
there.
game. Flowers was
Yeah,
the only guy who's really had a good game against
yeah,
Denver. Guys like Lad McConkey had a decent game, but and that was the game that Sertan was out for. So, but that's like it's not even like fully. Uh, that's not like a legit game to judge off of. So
yeah,
I don't know, but I do. We could probably stop after this because we're just gonna keep repeating
yeah,
ourselves. But
yeah.
I do like where this team is going. I think this Atlanta game is a real test. If they come out like they did, if they turn the ball over in the first half, they're gonna lose. But if they hold on to the ball and put up 13, 14 points in the first half, they're going to win. And it's really that simple. It's been that simple for the Broncos for legitimately 8 years. Just don't turn the ball over, control time of possession, and score early. You're going to win. And I think that's very possible against Atlanta.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's the Broncos talk. 30 minutes exactly. Now let's get into the Nuggets. Um,
Yeah.
they are on a 5-game win streak. They have blown out a couple teams, and they have won 3 extremely close games, 1 possession games, all of them, all coming down to the final shot, which is actually pretty crazy because Denver has had 3 wins in their last 5 that have all come down to opponents missing the last shot. Like, that is pretty ridiculous. Um, but it's because of the defense and it's because of the young guys. And we were talking last time we talked about the Nuggets. We were saying just give the bench some time, give the roster some time to get them to figure it out. It's not perfect, but they have figured something out with the rotation at least. I want to know what's been your thoughts through this rotation so far.
It's funny, man. After like 5 games, everybody's just claiming how the Denver Nuggets just like suck, and Murray is washed and Porter's not good and Aaron Gordon's not good, I guess, and KCP leaving is like, LeBron leaving Cleveland back in whenever 2011. That's how they treated it. Meanwhile, Christian Brown's just better. Um, I mean, obviously, I remember last episode we went the whole time without mentioning Jokic. I think we have to start with
Yeah.
Jokic because
Yeah.
what he's doing right now, I mean, dude, like obviously there's like nothing to say. Because everybody we know how good he is, obviously, but like this is the best start he's had. This is the best. I feel like the best, not even the best start, but the best stretch of like 10 games he's ever had.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it could be wrong, but like 30, I mean, dude, 37, 18, 15 against Dallas. The guy's averaging like third is 29 points, 13.7 rebounds, 11.7 assists. Um, he's never averaged a triple double, and it's looking like he could this year. Um, Man, I mean, there's his shooting efficiency has been great. Like his shot looks back, his touch looks back. I remember last year there was a time where it's just like he's missing all these little bunnies that he usually makes. And his 3-point shot wasn't good at all last year, especially in the playoffs. And he's come
Yeah.
out, and that was like the concern for me coming in this season. And his shot really didn't even look great in the Olympics. And I was like, man, please don't tell me this chronic wrist pain that Ramona Shelburne so like eloquently talked about in her article trying to take down the Nuggets. Um, like I thought that could be a real issue, but he's come out and shot 56% from three. Um, and he's like taking a lot of them too,
Yeah.
which is just sick. The touch around the basket has been awesome. The free throws have been decent. Um, and then, I guess he also just leads like all NBA big men in deflections. He's top 15 in the NBA in steals and plus blocks per game. Um, he's doing it all. He's carrying the hell out of the Nuggets. Um, I mean, it's still the same issues. The bench comes in, and all of a sudden, the 20-point lead that you got against the Jazz is just gone like that. I mean, that was
Yeah.
just insane against the Jazz, and it's like that in every. It was like that in the Heat game. The Nuggets got off to a huge lead, um, and they got off to a lead in the Mavericks game too, man. But um, so I mean, it's the same old story of the bench just being doo doo when they come in. But I do think you know there is there's potential. Um, like it's hard to judge because of Murray being out, Gordon being out. It's like these bench players are inserted into the starting lineup where obviously they look better with Jokic and every like Russell Westbrook, Peyton Watson, Julian Straw's numbers are all great with Jokic and are all like horrible without him. Um, so it's hard. It's still hard for me to judge like how the full bench lineup, the true bench lineup will be. Um, yeah, but
Yeah.
they look good, man. The defense, I think, especially clutch defense down the stretch, is good. There's nothing you could do about Kyrie Irving that night. That was insane. I mean, that's just like a
Yeah.
classic game with Jokic having that stat line and then Kyrie when he banked that shot in. Oh my
Oh,
God. I was
I
like,
thought it was so
no
over.
way, because it looked off on the broadcast. Obviously, I'm like, oh, that's not going in. But then
Mhm.
you start to realize, I'm like, wait, like it all computed in like 0.3 seconds in my head. I'm like, wait, Kyrie's been on fire. He knows how to hit a bank shot. The ball's like heading towards there, even though it looks like it's off. It's heading towards there, and bang, it goes in. I mean, that was crazy. But then, yeah, Payne Watson getting the block at the end, like he did against OKC, um, huge. And I wonder if that would have happened if Aaron Gordon was in the game. I wonder what would have happened in those two games if Aaron Gordon was in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm
Um,
wondering that too. I mean,
yeah.
those are like the young guys have been a big reason why they've won these close games. Obviously against OKC, they're in it because of how good Russell Westbrook was. They got down early, Russell Westbrook, but they got down in the third quarter. And Russell Westbrook really, I mean, he just took over instantly. And I think up until that game, that OKC game, they were down by 15 in every single game up until that point. Every single game, or except not kind of the Utah one, but they were down by 15 in every single game outside the Utah game. Um, after that OKC, so like first game against OKC, you're down, obviously lose by 15, but you were down by 20 plus. Against the Clippers, you're down by 20. Against both Toronto and Brooklyn, you're down by 15 plus. Against Minnesota, everyone was down by 15 plus. Then you blow out Utah and you're up, wire to wire win. Um, but then against Toronto again, you're down by 14, I believe it was. And then against OKC again, you're down by 16 in third quarter. So they were still just trying to figure out this bench unit somehow, some way. Um, but Jokic is, I mean, he's just been so good. And this is something that I noticed is looking at his stats. I mean, averaging 13.7 rebounds is ridiculous, but he's averaging a career high in offensive rebounds by like a huge margin.
Yeah.
He's averaging 4.5 offensive rebounds per game. And a lot of that is just off of his own misses, but he's in the paint. I feel like he's in the paint so much more. I've wanted him to take a lot more mid-range shots, but he's gotten so much better. This season, I've noticed it so much more. He is so good at getting post position now. Like that was an issue. Like we obviously know that Denver had issues getting him the ball in the post, and we would always blame it on entry passes. But Jokic was not that good at sealing and getting
Yeah,
post
I
position.
remember
He has
that.
been
Wow. I remember. Wow, that was a good. He doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah, there's no trouble anymore. Wow.
There's no trouble. He does a great job at sealing. And now, if they don't get the ball to him, it is because of the entry pass. Christian Brown is still learning how to do it properly. So that's happened a few times already. And you can tell that he's frustrated at that. But like Jamal Murray has no issues getting it in. MPJ, no issues getting it in. Westbrook, who has barely played with him, it's been very, very easy. Pass cut, get a layup right at the rim. Because he's been so good at sealing and getting that position. Obviously, like you said, he's getting the free throw line at a career high rate, 7 per game. Denver as a whole, as a team, leads the league in free throw attempts so far. I've never said that sentence in my entire life. The Nuggets lead the league in free throw attempts. They still suck at shooting them, but at least they're getting to the line more.
Mm.
And it's just it looks like a different team with these young guys in there. And yes, Jokic, we have to talk about that. You said it's the best 10-game stretch of his career. I think it might be the best 10-game stretch I've seen in my entire life. This
Yeah.
is legitimately unbelievable what I'm watching. I like as I take it for granted when I'm watching the game. And then I see other people's reactions to this, and I'm like, this is not normal. Like,
Yeah.
this doesn't just happen. Like 37, 18, and 15 is it doesn't even sound real. But when you're watching the game, it's like, oh yeah, he is 37. Yeah, of
I
course. Oh
know.
yeah, he's 18 rebounds. That makes sense. You'd think of all these things as like separate when they're
He always,
happening. Like
dude,
you're
he
not
always
watching it as a
starts.
complete game.
And I feel like he racks them up so quickly and a little quietly. Like sometimes it'll be like the first quarter, I don't know, it'll be like 24, 23 in the first quarter. But then you look at Jokic stats and it'll be like he's got 5, 4, and 4. And you're like, hold on. He's like halfway to a triple double in the first 6 minutes of the game. And that happens every game. Um, and like you just don't even really like realize it, but he truly, I mean, he gets the ball every possession. Um, and it seems like every shot ends with either one of his passes or him shooting the ball. Um, so that, yeah, it's insane. And then more about the bench. I remember I was actually thinking this in the Dallas game. Um, because so much, is like placed, so much of the blame is placed on the young players. Like, man, Watson's not ready, uh, Strother, whatever. I kind of think like it's the Nuggets starters that uh go, stagger with the bench, Murray or Porter. I don't think they're good enough without Jokic. I just don't think they're good. They're not guys that like Porter can't create his own shot. Jamal Murray, I mean, he really can't create his own shot anymore. It's crazy. He really can't. He doesn't get any separation. Um, so I mean, when you like, this is why I was thinking it during the Dallas game. Luca goes out, they still got Kyrie. They're gonna be good the whole any
Yeah.
time. The second Jokic goes out, the drop off between Jokic and the second best player is just so massive, man. And I think that's been the problem with the bench these past few years. It's like you look at the Suns, D Book goes out, KD's still in. Or the Warriors, Curry goes out, KD's still in. Um, all these different teams, Giannis goes out, Dame is still in. The the Nuggets don't have an all-star caliber player outside of Jokic. Um, and I think that is actually the issue. I don't think the issue is Westbrook or Strother. Like other teams have players like that playing on the bench. Like the Mavs are playing Olivier Prosper or whatever.
Yeah.
Like other players have bad players coming off. They're not bad, but you know what I mean. Not great players coming off the bench, but then they have this true star where they can really like carry. Just you just need someone to carry for like just a little, 3 minute stretch here and there. And I just don't think the Nuggets second best player and third best player are good enough to. So I honestly think that's the issue with the bench. If they had Kyrie instead of Murray, oh man, I mean, man, yeah,
Yeah. No,
I think
I
that's what
do
it is.
I do agree with that. No, I do really agree with that, and you could notice it. I literally said it to my friends during the Dallas game, where it's like I didn't notice Luca really come out of the game.
Right.
Like he obviously sat, but I was like, is this guy ever gonna sit? But it never noticed like the flow of the game was different for Dallas. Their offense didn't really change. They were still in the game, regardless of who was in. It's because Kyrie was so good, and they just didn't need Luca out there to perform. And I think that's a lot of their. I do really agree with you. Like Jamal, you can tell he's still not. He's either not like healthy yet, or he's not ramped up yet from his injury, from whatever happened in the Olympics, which either way is an issue at this point in the year. I mean, we're in November. He should be ramped up at this point. And then Michael Porter Jr., he started off that game so hot. Like he was making everything against Dallas in the first quarter. And then they sit him a little early so that he can stagger with the bench. I didn't even notice him out there. He doesn't get a touch. Like he's not really used. So I think part of it is that they don't use the staggers correctly. I think if you're going to stagger Westbrook and Murray together, Murray has to play off the ball, and that doesn't happen nearly enough. They have figured it out a little bit. It's looked better, but it's not nearly as good um, as it should be. And Porter literally is just used as a spacer. He's not actually used as a focal point in the offense, which sucks because you shouldn't need to change that much with how you get him the ball. Like obviously Jokic getting him the ball helps. He's such a good screener. He can do DHOs really, really well. He can find him on cuts better. You can still run like pin downs. You can still run plays for Porter, and they just don't. And I really don't understand why.
Right.
Him and Strother should be the guys getting every single touch, every single major offensive touch on the court when they're out there. And it just doesn't happen. I really don't get that. But I also do agree with you. He can't create his own shot. You need to be able to do that to carry a second unit. And Jamal Murray needs to step it up and start creating some space
Like
because
that
it's an
should be
issue for him.
it should be the time Jamal really cooks, man. Like that should be the time that
Yeah.
he's just aggressive, but man, this dude's really like a Jokic merchant, man. He really is. Like, he needs screens. He needs all these different things to get a little separation to do a step back or something. Um,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate like shitting on him because I mean he's a franchise legend. I just like love him and whatever. I fucking die for Jamal Murray, but um like man, I mean you just look at all the other teams out there that you know, you look at all the other greatest players of all time and the teams they've been on. I mean, you look at this roster, it's like the 2024 like Broncos roster of like good teams, I guess.
Yeah.
Like it's just man, there's no other guy that can really just bring it like every night.
Yeah.
And there
Yeah.
never has been. And it's crazy.
No, I that's why, like, when I look at, I'm going to use Boston as an example for this. Boston obviously winning the championship last year. They were far and away the best team the entire regular season. They were far and away the best team in the playoffs. They didn't really break a sweat in any series. Like, it was really easy for them. But when I look at their chances at repeating, it's like, okay, do they have a second Hall of Famer on their team? Like, do they even have one Hall of Famer on their team right now? Like, you don't know. Every single team that has won back to back, every single team that has been a dynasty, they have multiple all-time greats on it, because that's what you have to have. That you have to have multiple great players to be able to do this, right? You look at the last team that was able to go back to back, the Warriors. Steph, Clay, KD, Draymond Green, like, obviously they're gonna be elite. You look at Miami, Wade, Bosh, LeBron, obviously they're gonna be great. The Lakers' second repeat, it's Kobe and Pau, two Hall of Famers. Their first repeat, Kobe and Shaq, obviously Jordan, Pippen. Like, they have these legit Hall of Fame duos out there. They have a legit Hall of Fame trio, some sort of supporting cast that you think of as all-time great. I don't know if I think Boston has the all-time great supporting cast. I don't know if they have the all-time great players. Um, and Denver definitely does not have the all-time great supporting cast, and that's where I'm hoping that championship run is not how Dallas was when they won with Dirk, where it's just, he's superhuman, he can do it so much, but they catch lightning in a bottle where everyone stays healthy for 1 year and they're just able to do it. Um, but we'll see. I don't think it is. I think that they can do it, because I genuinely think Jokic is that good. Like,
Yeah.
he is on another level than everybody else in the league. But
Dude,
I
that
agree
it's
with you.
not
They
even close, bro. It's
Yeah,
crazy. It's not even
we
close.
have known
And
it for
yeah,
so long. We've known it for 5 years, and everyone calls us crazy.
I
It's
know.
unbelievable.
And like the thing about it is just like the way he carries himself on the court is just so much better than Giannis and Embiid, dude. I mean, those guys are like dirty players. They really are. Um, and like they're complaining and they're doing all this other like stuff. Giannis, you know, elbows Jalen Brown and then doesn't give him a handshake, and they're just weird. I don't know. There's just something like weird about him. And the way that Jokic carries himself on the court is just like such a whole other level beyond
Yeah,
them. Um, and it's been like that, obviously, as you said, forever. I mean, it's not close. Who's the best
yeah,
player on in the NBA? Like, I think the gap between Jokic and whoever you want to put at second is bigger than like LeBron and KD during all those years. Um,
yeah. I think it's
yeah,
it's as big as it's been in a long time. Like,
yeah.
it is. Like, the only thing I can think of is when LeBron, like peak LeBron in Miami. There was no one close to him. That is the only time that I can remember. Um, but it's like, man, it is legitimately unbelievable. Like this 10-game stretch, like, we just rattled off these stats. Like, what is this, bro? 29.7, 13.7, 11.7, career high in all those. 56% from three on four attempts a game. What is that? It's unbelievable. Getting to the line more than he ever has. He's shooting more two-pointers than he ever has. And he's shooting, I mean, 56% on twos it's actually a low number for him, which is funny, but it's because he's shooting so much more. But his effective field goal percentage is better than what it was last year. Free throw attempt and percentage better than what it was last year. Rebounding better than what it was last year. I thought last year was the best season of his career. So it is. I mean, it's unbelievable. It is really, really unbelievable. I do have to give flowers to the other guys. You mentioned Christian Brown earlier. He's been. I did not think at all he was going to be this good. This is better. This is like what I thought maybe his peak could be, like his prime. Because he's at 16, 5, and 1.6 assists on 55% from the field, 50% from three, 81% from the line. Obviously, all those career highs. I didn't expect the three-point shooting to be this good. He looks like a different shooter right now than he did last year. We knew that he was going to get more open looks, and he's going to get the easiest offense of his life playing alongside Jokic. But these are things that this is sustainable, I think. The shooting is not. 50% is not sustainable. But everything else, the defense, the cutting, the finishing at the rim specifically, he's
That's
over
the big one.
70% at the rim. That is sustainable. He can continue doing that for as long as he's in the NBA. And man, he looks so good. I did not anticipate this at all.
I want to
He
look
should
at
be in
like
most improved player
yeah.
conversations.
Do you know like if the Nuggets are scoring more points on transition this year? Because it definitely feels like they are, and it feels like they're
Oh, they have
playing
to.
faster. But I think
I'm
like
not a
it
that.
comes down to it. Like it's weird. The two like best fast break players that they've had over the past couple years, I feel like have been Brown and KCP with their speed. Like they just get down the court fast, but then they miss every single time at the
Yeah,
rim. Up until this
yeah,
year, that is the main huge thing with Christian Brown. He's finishing the layups, and that's what I think is consistent as well. Like will remain to be consistent is his finishing, um, because like he's had a lot of these chances before, and just hasn't converted, and now he's converting, and yeah, I mean he's not going to shoot 50% from three the whole year, but it surely looks smoother and he looks way more confident than last year, so I could see it being
yeah.
at 40%, especially with the way that they leave him wide open. Um, so yeah, I mean, I really like what he's doing. He might be Denver's second best player so far this year. He
It's
might
between
be.
him and Porter because Porter's been really good. Gordon, I think it was Gordon
I
until he
think it
got
was
injured.
Gordon too. Yeah.
Yeah, because Gordon was unbelievable. His shooting, talk about looking
Uh,
confident shooting. He looked incredible. The free throw shooting specifically from Gordon is what the 3-point shooting again. That's not gonna remain. He's shooting also above. He's like 55% from three.
it's
That's not gonna
ridiculous.
stay there.
And he's like
Um,
making these like
but the
pull up wing like
yeah,
insane threes that
it's all the threes that we would have like screamed our heads off for him
yeah.
shooting last year. He's making this year. And it's like,
I'm still
hold on,
screaming my head off when he takes them, but they're
yeah.
going in.
But the free throw shooting, he looks so much more confident.
Yeah.
He looks more comfortable. He looks like he figured out a routine that works for him. He's over 80% at the line. That is sustainable. Any sort of free throw shooting jump should always be sustainable. I'm trying to find transition stuff. I don't know if I can. Oh, is it in hustle stats?
Man.
Uh, I'm just on NBA.com's stats. Advanced leaders. Where do you find it?
There's
In the
definitely
world
a
do you
stat
find?
for that, like transition leaders.
Yeah.
I just want I was more
Oh,
thinking of
oh,
like
here
as
it
a
is. Here it
team,
is.
but okay, bro.
I found it. So in transition, they are they don't score very high in transition. They're like league average in terms of scoring in transition. The frequency is much higher though. Their frequency is way higher.
Okay,
They're
okay.
getting 20.1% uh I don't 20.1% of their possessions per game are transition, which is most definitely higher than what it has been in the past. The efficiency is still mostly the same, but their points per game in terms of transition, there was this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sixth in points per game in transition points per game. That's definitely different. Their pace is way higher this season. So
Yeah,
that we
that's
can
yeah.
tell. Their pace right now, they're 10th in pace, which is historically Denver is an extremely slow team.
I feel like it's the Westbrook effect, but I feel like it's well, it might be the like I was when I
It's
said
part of
Westbrook
it.
effect, when I was say Westbrook effect, I was like thinking just him pushing the ball up, but maybe it's more him inspiring other guys to run more.
No, that is 100% like Strother and Watson playing more 100% means more transition buckets. Those guys get out in
That's
transition a
true.
lot. Brown does it a lot. Um, those guys, their offense should come primarily from that. And I think, I mean, I've been saying it literally for 2 years. Denver needs just energy off the bench. Last year, they did not have it. They didn't have a juice maker out there. Russell Westbrook is that. You can tell. It's just that OKC game is specifically what I'm talking about. They're down 16. They come out of a timeout. Russell Westbrook assists to Michael Porter Jr. for a three. OKC gets a three back. Then Russell Westbrook gets it all the way down, gets it to Christian Brown for a three. Then Russell Westbrook hits a three himself. So, like, all of this is Russ doing it all. And then all of a sudden, a 16-point game is down to 10. You force OKC to call a timeout. And you can just tell the energy just picked up because of that. That does not happen with Jamal Murray out there. And Jamal Murray is obviously a better player than Russell Westbrook, but there's certain things that you need from your bench, and energy is one of them. I think the Russell Westbrook effect is a real thing. He literally just brings juice, and you
Yeah.
need that. I'm gonna go back to when the last year Denver's pace 27th out of 30. And then the season they won the championship, 23rd out of 30. So I'm trying to see when the last time 21, 22, they were top 20, they were 19th. But 2021, when they were, I guess, kind of fully healthy, 27th. 2019, 2020 is 29th. 2018, 2019 is 27th.
What?
2017, 2018 is 16th. They have not been
Dude,
this
I
high.
could have I could
2016,
have
2017 is the last time that they were this high. They
okay.
were seventh
I could have
in
sworn
pace that
like
year.
yeah, I guess that makes sense because I was thinking in my head like those early Jokic years, they would get out and run with Fareed and
Yeah.
them. But
Yeah.
man,
This
that
is
I
the
mean that's
year.
just crazy to be like. I mean that was the whole reason. Like George Karl won like 30. We won 33-3 with a like not a great team,
Yeah.
but because they just ran in transition and I mean I honestly think it's just I think it goes back to Jamal Murray. Like a lot of that again,
Yeah.
because Jokic is obviously willing to run, and he's he's known for those outlet passes. Um, but it's Murray taking the ball up the court very slowly every time he gets it, contributes to that. I
Yeah.
think.
No, it definitely does. That definitely plays a factor into it. And I also just think like I mean Denver is a half court offense. Like Jokic, yeah, you get a lot of
Yeah,
easy transition buckets with his outlet passing, but why would you want to transition? Like you said, KCP, Brown, um, I mean Bones Highland was a transition guy when he was here. Those guys, why would you rather have them go and most likely miss a layup at the rim with no one there to offensive rebound, when instead you could get Jokic in a post up where it's the most efficient play in literally in basketball history since tracking was started. So it makes sense why they're a slow team, but they have to pick their spots. I think 10th is an excellent spot for them to be because you can tell when it gets down to clutch time, they're going to stay in their spots, but you can also tell like in the third quarter when the bench comes in, they do want to push it,
yeah.
and that is what they need. And I will also say, Jamal Murray coming back, I think, has really helped their clutch offense. Against Minnesota, their clutch offense sucked, right? They're up 10 with 3 minutes to go, but once it starts getting muddy, they can't do anything because they're just trapping Jokic instantly. And Russ, they know they can leave Russ. Even the OKC game that they won, you could
Russ
tell
had
like
a
they were up
Russ. Well, he left for
eight or
like 10
something.
minutes of the fourth quarter. He
Yeah,
wasn't even in
he
the
didn't he
game.
didn't play most of the fourth,
Yeah,
but regardless, they didn't have anyone who could do any sort of action
right.
with Jokic on the ball or off the ball. It had to just be give Jokic the ball and cut and move and try and figure out something. And they almost lost because they couldn't score. They were up, what was it, like 121, 122 to 123 to like 113 or something, and they almost lost that lead because they couldn't score in the half court once OKC started getting set in their defense. A lot of it was just get out and run. Um,
Yeah, like
so
Murray just gives them a whole nother uh like play, I guess. I mean, just a whole
yeah,
nother way to run the offense. Because as you said, like that
exactly.
OKC game, it's get Jokic the ball in the post and let him make a decision. Now you got the option of doing that, or running a pick and roll with Murray. So I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, that's the whole
yeah,
like factors. It just gives the defense doesn't know what's coming when Murray's there.
exactly. I have this tweet bookmark. So after those first two games, all the talk was that the Nuggets offense sucks and they have to be like they don't have shooters and everyone sucks. They're sixth in offensive rating. They're first in assists, fourth in rebounds, first in free throw attempts, second in 3-point percentage. And I will say it has been juiced by a couple games. Peyton Watson going 4 for 4 from three is not going to happen. Aaron Gordon hit like 5 against Minnesota. That's not going to happen. Christian Brown is going to regress a little bit. Jokic is going to regress a little bit. It's going to happen. But still, regardless, they're shooting 40% from three as a team. And from I don't know where this stat got their pace. Oh, this is per 100, I guess. Their pace is different. But Basketball Reference has their pace at 100. This other one had it at 101.7. But still, regardless, this offense is fine. Like you said it best last time we talked about them. Just have to give it some time. Um, they ran an 8-man rotation against Dallas because they don't play until Friday, so they were able to gas their guys a little bit more. But Hunter Tyson, when he's been in there, he has been fine. He
Yeah.
hasn't been noticed as like bad, which is good because if you pick him where you picked him, he better be able to play at some point in his NBA career. Um, but I like it. I think Julian Strawther is getting a lot of valuable reps. I think Peyton Watson's getting a
Yeah.
lot of valuable reps because you need to do this. This is like the dream scenario to start the season for Denver. Obviously, those 2 losses at the beginning of the season suck. Minnesota loss sucks, but all these wins that you're getting where you have to play the young guys in these big moments, that's exactly what you need. And I think they're gonna be much better off for it. I have a lot of belief in this team. They still need to make a move. They do need a backup center. They need something. Jokic cannot keep playing 38 minutes a night. There's no way. But I think as long as they can figure out something with a backup center, they'll be okay. And I think there are moves out there to be made. If Atlanta sucks, Larry Nance should be top of the list. He had a great game today. He had like 5 threes, which is ridiculous. Um, but yeah, but room for improvement. But this team, similar with the Nuggets, there's or similar with the Broncos. There's a direction that you can tell, and I think they're doing it properly with the young guys. I really do.
I wonder like how much of a factor Deron Holmes would have played in this season.
Oh my
Like
God. Oh
would they have played him like right away right now over Najee? I mean, oh my! It only took Shards like 3 games to get
yeah,
benched for the whole season, pretty much. Well, we don't. I mean, Najee might just play his way to the bench also, and then Shards comes back in. But you would think like with those 2 guys playing so poorly, pretty much to start the year, that Holmes would have had a shot. And
he would have. I think he would have played. I think he would have played
yeah,
alongside Saric. I really do. Um, because man, he would have been perfect having a floor spacer, an athletic, weak side shot blocker, a guy who can run too. I mean, we saw it in the very limited summer league action he had. He was still out there running in transition. Like, man, he literally it was the perfect choice. It was exactly what the team needed. And I guess now they have to figure out if Zeke is for real. They have to play him. They have to see what he can do. Um, they
I
have
still
to
dude.
figure out if Hunter
There's still
Tyson can
like
do anything. Like,
there's
but
still
man, it
part of
just
me that
sucks.
I know. There's still part of me that likes Zeke Najee, man. Like they're just flashes. Sometimes he'll make a good dunk, or make a good defensive play or something like that. But like that air ball 3, and then he
Oh,
missed a dunk against he missed a dunk against Toronto or something. They came
I think it
back.
was
Yeah,
Toronto.
they
Yeah,
came back and scored like a and one layup right after his missed wide open dunk. I'm like, oh my God.
yeah.
Um, like there's just little stuff like that where like I feel like he's close, but I also feel like he's not. So I don't know.
I mean,
It's like he's
here's the thing.
close, but
It's
is
year
he
5.
ever gonna get over that hump? I mean,
Yeah,
he never has proven that he can. So
it's year
I don't know.
5. He has to.
I
It has
know.
to be this year, or it's not gonna happen. But he is also only 23. Like he's still super young. They did draft. Pretty sure they drafted him when he was 18 or something. Because this is
Yeah.
like he's being 23 in your 5th year in the NBA is pretty crazy. Um, but I'm with you. Like I think he has to play. The bench has looked better with him instead of Šarić. That is a fact. He doesn't need the ball to make an impact on the game. Um, if he just learns that he's 6'10" and can dunk the ball almost every single time he's in the paint, they'll be fine. He'll be like that is something he needs to. Someone has to like winter soldier brainwash it in his brain. Like, hey, go up strong every single time, and you'll be
Mm-hmm.
fine. I hope
Because
the
he
shooting from
can. He
preseason
has
comes back because
proven.
it looked way better,
I know.
but it's looked awful in the regular season. So I don't know. I I don't know, but
He shot
we'll
that
see.
one. I'm hoping it's just like these early little nerves. He's like, I gotta play well. I gotta
Yeah.
play well right now. Because he shot that air ball way long and he's wide open. He shot it way long. I mean, that just tells you he was way too amped up.
Yeah.
Um, and the missed dunk honestly shows he was too amped up too, I think. So
Yeah. Yeah.
he just needs to settle down, get in like his Aaron Gordon vibe, just chill, play
Yeah.
the piano like in his mind because he can play the
Yeah.
piano
Gotta be
and
piano guy.
go
Have you
up
seen that
strong with
account
it.
on Twitter that like impersonates as his burner?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like Minnesota Keys or whatever.
yeah. I have.
Just be Minnesota Keys. He's got to be Minnesota Keys,
Hmm.
and he'll be okay. But yeah, Denver has honestly this next game against New Orleans. If
Oh my God, the amount
yo,
of injuries those guys are
yeah,
dealing with is insane.
that's what I'm saying. They don't have the only center on the roster at the current moment is Yves Missi, and he's like a 6'8" rookie. Like he is not. I mean, he's good. He's athletic. He's like Wendell Carter light, I think. He's not as long, but he has a similar, like, just stocky,
He's not.
short build that gives Jokic trouble sometimes. But if this, like, legitimately, Jokic could go 30-30 in this game. I want it to happen so bad.
Hmm.
And he always just literally, like, abuses the Pelicans. I don't know what they did to him, but he turns into the greatest player of all time. So it could
Yeah,
be a
and
troll game, but
yeah.
we'll see.
Anytime I hear Wendell Carter, man, all I can think of is Jokic's core. And then you said
Yeah.
the length. The length isn't as. It's like Missy's length is as expected, I guess.
Yeah. That's
uh,
so funny. Oh my
but
god.
yeah, dude, their whole team is injured. It's crazy. It's like the top. It's literally all their best players. Like the
It's
top like
everyone.
9 best players are injured.
Everyone except Ingram.
Oh,
Like
he's still. Oh yeah, he is playing. Wasn't he injured though?
they got Trey Murphy back from whatever injury he
Yeah.
had, and then they immediately lost Alvarado and Zion. It's
Oh
ridiculous.
my God, Alvarado is out? No way. 6
He's
weeks?
out for like 3 weeks. It's ridiculous. They're the
Dude,
Grizzlies of last year. They're
yeah,
literally the
exactly.
you trade for a guard,
Bro,
the
what?
guy who you think will help out, and then it just
I don't
the
get how it's
entire team dies.
possible. It's like you expect it
It's
from
somewhat
Zion, obviously, but everybody else?
everyone else. Like you're expecting a leap from Jordan Hawkins this season. Nope, he's injured. Oh, Herb Jones is really, really good. Nope, he's injured.
Yeah.
DeJounte Murray, you make a big trade for him. He's gonna help out the team. First game of the season, broken hand. Nope.
Trey Murphy, 3 and D star
Yeah,
injured.
injured. Everybody, literally, like if this team was
McCollum, right?
healthy, yeah, CJ too. If this team was healthy, I'd be such a believer in them. But they're so injured. It
We
is
we haven't really
honestly
seen
ridiculous.
this like what is it? The last time that they've really been all together and healthy that I'm trying to remember was that like playing game against OKC, but I forget if they
No, they didn't
did
have
they
Zion that year. Zion was hurt.
so when is like the last time this team's really been together like that?
Um, I think I don't think they ever have been because the year when they played the Suns in the first round and they won a couple games and Alvarado was coming out party and stuff like that. Zion wasn't even playing that year. He was
Yeah,
injured the entire season. And then Zion's best season, they didn't make the playoffs. 2022, 2023, they were really, really good. They were like the 1 seed for a while, but then Zion gets injured for the entire season,
right,
and then
right.
that playing game happens. Last season, I mean, I guess last season Zion was healthy for most of it, but
But they just were
I, they were just literally just. So I don't know. I really don't know. They need an actual point guard. I don't think DeJounte Murray is the actual point. They needed to sign Tyus Jones
We'll
in the
see
offseason.
though.
But
I feel like he played pretty
yeah.
well point guard with the Spurs, honestly. But
He can, but I feel like he's just a different player than he was. With like he's a scorer. Like I don't think he's that much of a
but
distributor. I think him and CJ are like almost the
is
same
that
player at
just the
this point.
Trae Young effect though? Like,
I don't know. Maybe. It could
because
have been.
wasn't he so excited to be traded because he can go back to his point guard like roots?
I
I feel like
guess.
maybe I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. He's played one
We
game.
don't
Like I
even
don't know
know
what if
though. I know we don't even know. So
it's ridiculous. It's unbelievable. I feel so bad for them. Like they should. Let's think. I don't even know who they can trade. Like CJ is the guy I think they should trade. He's old,
yeah,
but like no one else makes sense to
McCollum being
trade.
on
Like
that team has just been like always weird to me. Like he's never fit their timeline or he never really fit their team.
yeah,
Honestly.
yeah. I don't know. I didn't. It was a weird addition. I think it was because they were expecting Zion to be healthy at some point
Yeah.
with him, but he's been hurt for 2.5 seasons. But I don't know. We've gone a little long, but Denver their next game against New Orleans. Broncos next game against uh, Falcons. Should be two good games. I'm excited for that New Orleans game. It's the first game with the, the new city edition, the new court in season cup.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, maybe Denver makes it in the knockout round this time. They don't play the freaking Rockets. Um, so
Bro, oh my God! Don't
we'll
give me
see.
an at Rockets game where we lose by 30 points every single time. I
God, I don't
hate
know what
those
it is about
games.
the Rockets.
I
It's
know.
just like Denver, if they just play try hard teams, like that's the best way to describe it. Where it's like
Yeah.
young, athletic teams that don't have anything to lose, they suck against because this is a team that knows what they're doing and they couldn't care less about
I feel like
a team like that.
the Kings were kind of like that, but then the Nuggets would always beat the Kings like right at the end. But they would always be a
Yeah, yeah. It
pain in the ass to play. I
was like
hated playing the
Dallas. Dallas
Kings
before
too.
Luca was always
Yeah, yeah.
impossible.
But playing at Sacramento would just piss me off, man. But
Oh
I
yeah.
remember, dude, that I will always remember that Jamal Murray game at Sacramento where he
Oh,
like made that 4-point play, and I mean he was going off, man. That was so sick.
I remember
Um,
that game. I remember that game. And what other team?
Anyways,
Yeah, there's a lot of teams. Orlando, I guess, is another team like that.
yeah, yeah,
Just
we
try
don't play
hard.
well at Orlando, yeah.
Yeah, against
Um,
Orlando's always tough. There's a
I
lot of them.
wanted to, I guess, just shout out like Colorado football. I mean, hey, the Big 12
Oh,
championship is in your hands. That is,
it
hey,
isn't. You just gotta win out.
and
That's all. That's
all
all it's gonna take. It's in your
all the
hands.
hate at Deion Sanders, all the hate at Travis and Shadur. I just love that they're shutting people up. I've been a
Yeah.
Deion believer, man, and I've always felt like his beef with the media has been a little justified because I mean, like the amount of stuff that they write about and that they put out about him, they don't do that to any other coach in college football. To any other coach, man.
Yeah.
And so for him to like this turnaround has been so quick too. That's just was insane. The team was
Yeah.
so bad 2 years ago.
Literally, they were one of the worst teams like ever in college football. They were
Yeah.
awful, awful. In 2 years to be in a position to win a Power Four conference that quickly is ridiculous. And
And I was
man,
hearing
yeah,
like I mean, people were talking at work, they're like Dion is just he's done such a great job like marketing. He's just a pro marketer. I'm like, he's the head coach of a team that is on the verge of like going to the Big 12 championship. Like that you don't just be a marketer and like do that. Like if you watch any of these YouTube videos of where they show him in the locker room or in the like this film study room giving his speeches. I mean, I'd want to play for him. That dude like fires
yeah,
me up. So I mean, I think he's a good coach, man. And he lets the other guys like he lets the coordinators do their job, but he puts in his input too
yeah,
during the games. And so I honestly believe he's a good coach. I mean, Jackson State, come on, bro. You don't just
yeah.
market. He wasn't marketing Jackson State, and he would go
No,
12-0 every week, every year. So
and he got.
I
I think
think
this
he's a
this
good
is
coach.
he is a very good coach, and this is the other thing. Like Travis Hunter was. I'm not even. He was the best rated prospect in high school football. He's one of the top rated prospects ever on 247 Sports. and he got him to go to Jackson State for 2 years. Do you understand how insane that is?
Yeah.
That is ridiculous. You don't do that by just being like, oh man, I'm playing for Deion Sanders. Well, he has to be doing something right for that to happen, especially in this era of
Facts.
college football. Something has to be going correctly for that to happen. And yeah, he's been incredible. You can tell the team is different this season. You can tell he knows what he's doing. A lot of what he inherited in 2023 when they started off 4-1 and then they lost 7 straight. A lot of what he inherited was still leftovers from either leftovers or just a completely brand new roster from the 2022 team, which sucked. And he's just been incredible. And I also agree. I think a lot of his beef with the media is justified. I do think some of it isn't justified. I think the thing with
Same.
CBS
Yeah.
Sports was,
Yeah.
I think, a little bit too far. But if he wants to hate ESPN, he can do it. I mean, the amount of crap they write about him daily is unbelievable. And the amount of times that they're just zip on anything else is ridiculous. Like, I'll use this as an example. How many hit pieces have you seen written on Georgia and the culture of drinking and driving and getting DUIs and not taking accountability for any sort of action that happens
Dude,
down there?
imagine if Deion was the coach of that team, bro. Just imagine.
Like, come on. But Kirby
It's like
Smart
the
is
media would
able, like, he takes
literally.
accountability. He takes accountability for a kid having fun with his friends after a game.
I don't know. He calls him an idiot, but then doesn't say
Yeah.
anything about when a player drives reckless. Like,
Yeah. Like, I really do not understand that part of it. I'm sure some of it is race based. I don't think all of it is. I'm sure some of it is. I'm sure some of it is just media
well,
doing what
I
they
think
can to
it
get
kind of
clicks.
like that's what I'm saying. Imagine if Deion was the head coach of that team.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much what I'm saying is that I think it is a lot like race. I mean, especially in Georgia. Oh, fuck.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's bad. But yeah, Colorado football, they have completely exceeded my expectations for the season. I thought they would be like 7-4 or
Yeah.
something, 7-5, whatever, and like barely make a bowl game. And
I mean,
once again, that would
especially,
still be an improvement from last
yeah.
season, and they 1-11 season the year before is still making progress. But I think they've
Dude, especially after that
jumped
North
it.
Dakota State game and the Baylor game.
Yeah,
I mean, man, they looked exactly like the same as last year, but
yeah,
man, they have turned it around for sure.
yeah. Also, shout out to Colorado State. I mean, they're also bowl eligible. They're 6-3. They haven't lost since they lost to Colorado. They've been really really good. Shout out to them. Just if Colorado football is doing good, that's all you need. That's all you need. I
Yeah.
like both of them doing good. Hopefully ASU loses a couple more games so they can come to the Sun Bowl so I can watch them. That'd be kind of fun.
The
But
Sun. Dude,
we'll see.
when is the ASU disrespect gonna stop? They're just never gonna get ranked, huh?
I know Tulane is ranked. Why isn't ASU ranked? Like, I know they have not played the greatest of teams, and they're not exactly like blowing them out or anything, but they're winning. They're 7-2.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just not rank them. Their 2
Yeah.
losses came at Texas Tech, which is a good team, and then on the road at Cincinnati without their starting quarterback. Like, what? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the CFP rankings.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no way ASU got any depth on that, but um, my Colorado's 17th.
No,
That's
definitely
huge.
not. All right, yeah. We should probably cut it here because
Yeah,
we went.
we can cut it a little
Yeah.
over, but it's fine. Well, I'm gonna keep using this thing. I like this thing. I will figure this out. We're gonna actually make it look like an actual stream, professional and stuff. So we'll figure it out. But yeah, there's no viewers the entire time. But thank you guys for watching.
Oh yeah,
We
man.
will
There's
catch you guys
still lead
later. We'll try
analysis,
and
man. People are missing out, man. I'm telling you, this
yeah,
is
this is the
better than
lead.
anything you'll hear on ESPN. I'm literally
Oh,
like, I
100%.
feel that. And it's not even
No,
like close.
100%.
So
I will beat anyone in a debate. We will beat anyone in a debate. Get us on First Take. We'll make
facts.
Stephen A. look like a child. We can do it.
I don't know. Maybe he might just own me based off just voice alone.
We just gotta scream.
You can't like out yell
Yell
him.
as
I
much as
know.
you can.
I guess you do have to out yell him. You got to be like Chris,
Just
that Mad Dog dude.
Mad Dog. Skip
Yeah.
was the only guy who gave him trouble, and it's because he just he could out yell him.
Mm-hmm.
Out yell him. You just got to say Tebow's a better box office draw than Kobe, and then you got it. You got it right where you want it.
That's crazy.
You got it right where you want it.
Tim Tebow.
All right.
All right.
That's going to do it for this stream. We'll try and, I don't know when our next one will be. We'll try and get it up whenever there's something to react to. Probably in a week, 2 weeks. We'll see. I'll try and get this whole thing set up, make it look nice. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace. All right.